Welcome to Hidden Horizons, a space where overlooked tales from world history come to life in calm, immersive storytelling. Here, each journey uncovers the mysteries and marvels that have shaped our world, from distant lands to forgotten innovations. If these stories inspire wonder in you, consider supporting the journey by liking and subscribing. Together, we'll wander across hidden horizons of the past and the people who shaped them. In this episode, we travel back to the dawn of Polynesia. You'll discover how ancient Pacific navigators charted the oceans without written maps, guided only by the stars, waves, and wisdom passed through generations. Through gentle narration, we reveal their courage and ingenuity as they faced the world's largest ocean, joining a tradition of adventure and survival that forever changed our understanding of exploration. Chapter 1. The Ocean's Edge. Imagine standing on an island at first light, where the sky blushes pink and gold, and the Pacific stretches as far as the eye can see. The waves whisper secrets of ancient journeys and endless possibilities. This is where our story begins, with the call of the vast ocean, echoing in the hearts of those who dared to answer it many centuries ago. The coastline is quiet, gentle waves lapping against volcanic rocks worn smooth by centuries. In the soft glow of dawn, everything feels still, yet charged with anticipation. Here, the ancient Polynesians once looked out at the infinite blue before them, sensing both fear and wonder. These early navigators saw the ocean not as a barrier, but as a pathway open to discovery and adventure. With each new sunrise, the Pacific seemed to offer both a promise and a challenge. For the Polynesians, the edge of the island was much more than land meeting water. It was the start of limitless journeys, each voyage a leap into the unknown. Their world was shaped by curiosity and courage, and their legacy lives on in the stories whispered by waves and wind. Before compasses or written records, the Polynesians learned to read what nature offered: the patterns of clouds, the pull of tides, the rhythms of migrating birds. At the ocean's edge, young navigators listened as elders recounted tales of islands discovered beyond the horizon. Their calm voices filled the morning air, sparking dreams of adventure in the hearts of the next generation. As the mist lifts from ancient shorelines, stone tools wait beside curved canoes. Wooden paddles lie ready, carved with patterns passed down for centuries. Each detail speaks of patient preparation, a culture determined to unlock the mysteries beyond sight. Every heartbeat at the water's edge holds a quiet anticipation, as if the whole world balances between what is known and what waits to be explored. In the gentle hush of dawn, the scent of salt and earth blends with the rhythm of distant drums. Stories are shared around glowing embers, describing courageous ancestors who set out across thousands of miles of ocean. Each tale is a guiding star, reminding listeners that the unknown holds wonders for those willing to reach beyond their island's embrace. Stepping to the shoreline, you can almost feel the pulse of ancient feet, the excitement and nervous energy as canoes were pushed into the surf. The journey ahead was full of uncertainty, but faith in their skills and the wisdom of their elders gave strength. Every departure carried hope, a dream that somewhere beyond the shining horizon, a new land awaited discovery. So the story of Pacific navigation begins, not in books or charts, but at the boundary where land gives way to endless sea. Here, bravery was not loud, it was quiet and determined, alive in the decision to follow the winds and stars. The first navigators set out, guided by faith, forging a legacy that still ripples across the Pacific waves to this very day. Chapter 2. The Star Pathways. As night falls upon the endless Pacific, a canopy of stars stretches overhead, shimmering with stories and direction. Polynesian navigators did not see empty darkness above. Instead, they witnessed an intricate map, each star a signpost guiding their canoes across unknown waters. Tonight, we delve deeper into the quiet power of celestial knowledge, learning how ancient wayfinders read the sky to chart their journeys. The Polynesians memorized the positions of rising and setting stars, forming invisible pathways called star roads. Each pathway linked distant islands, written not on paper but in memories passed from teacher to apprentice. These star routes became guiding threads woven into songs and chants. As navigators journeyed, they recited these verses, recalling which stars would lift above the horizon and point the way across the ocean's endless blue. Long before compasses or maps reached these shores, Polynesian sailors developed keen eyes and patient observation. At twilight, they could recognize subtle changes in the sky. A single star's appearance or a constellation's subtle shift might indicate an approaching island or a new direction to follow. This deep familiarity with the heavens allowed navigators to travel vast distances with remarkable precision and confidence. Celestial navigation required a special kind of memorial living map held in the mind and heart. Navigators were trained for years, learning the secrets of star paths and how they rotated at different times of the year. Some stars travelled low across the sea, others arced high overhead. By tracing their movements night after night, sailors could cross thousands of miles, guided only by the luminous signals above. Every journey began with careful preparation. Before setting out, navigators would study the night sky, noting which stars would join them on their path. They remembered distant islands by the stars that rose and set over them, connecting geography to the constellations. Each voyage became a living conversation with the heavens, blending patience, intuition, and respect for traditions that had been whispered across centuries. The importance of the navigator was respected throughout Polynesian societies. These individuals did not simply memorize stars. They felt the rhythm of the earth and sky, believing all elements were connected. To Polynesian navigators, a star was never just a point of light, but the memory of an ancestor, the spirit of a bird in flight, or the promise of land awaiting on the far horizon. Ancient voyagers built mental star compasses, dividing the horizon into segments using key stars. This compass allowed them to steer accurately, using the rising and setting positions to determine where to go next. Even when clouds veiled the sky, the navigator's mind could conjure the positions of the stars, allowing the journey to continue in trust and perfect calm, even through darkness and storms. Star charts were shared through oral tradition, the knowledge passed on during quiet nights beside the ocean. Apprentices listened closely as elders pointed out the sky's landmarks, telling stories that explained not just where a star appeared, but why it mattered. These lessons wove emotion and memory into navigation, ensuring details would not be forgotten when the wayfinder faced empty seas. For Polynesian navigators, the star path was both a literal and a spiritual road. Sailing under starlight, they saw themselves as travellers not just through space, but through a lineage of memory and reverence. As each wave whispered beneath their canoes, the songs of their ancestors echoed overhead, together, guiding their journey and deepening the legacy of ocean navigation for generations. The art of reading star pathways remains a testament to human curiosity and resilience. Even now, some Pacific Islanders continue to learn and honour these ancient techniques, reviving sounds, phrases, and celestial knowledge in hopes that the wisdom of the past will illuminate the future. In this dance between memory and sky, we glimpse the beauty and bravery of Polynesian navigation and enduring story written among the stars. Chapter 3. Reading the Ocean. The art of reading the ocean was at the very heart of the Polynesian navigator's journey. As darkness settled across the endless water, their senses sharpened, attuned to the language of the waves. Each swell carried secrets, whispering hints about distant lands and shifting currents, offering guidance in the vast blue. Navigators learned to listen with their bodies, decoding messages others would have missed entirely. Their hands brushed the sides of the canoe, feeling the subtle rhythms travelling through wood and water. Sometimes waves arrived with a suddenness or an unexpected angle, clues to underwater reefs or distant islands hidden beyond the line of sight. The ocean's surface became a living map, alive with patterns, hints, and silent signals, each movement holding a piece of the navigator's puzzle on the open sea. Sight joined touch as the moon rose, silvering the calm and emphasizing gentle undulations. The navigators watched for faint shadows and shifting lines, marks left by currents or winds far away. Sound, too, played its part, the slap of water against the hull, the hush of passing swells, and the distant rush of waves breaking on unseen shores. All sensed, all remembered, each a part of their ancient toolkit. Within their canoes, the navigators became almost inseparable from the sea itself. Eyes closed, they could sense the angle and force of a wave, knowing when a current was subtle or strong. Their awareness extended beneath the surface, feeling variations in water temperature as if touching invisible roads woven beneath them. This intuitive connection grew from years of experience and endless hours spent observing the world's largest ocean. Not every swell brought promise, and not every current led to land. But for those who listened closely, the ocean would speak. Sometimes a series of long, steady swells hinted at islands lying far beyond the horizon. Other nights, a cross-patterned chop revealed converging oceanic paths, invisible to any chart. Navigators stored these sensations in memory, learning to trust the language written in wave, wind, and tide. This knowledge was never written down, passed instead from teacher to student, parent to child, in endless voyages across time. Stories, lessons, and silent gestures trained young navigators to feel what their elders felt, a world knitted together not by lines on a map, but by the living rhythm of the sea. In total darkness, with only waves and currents as guides, they learned to walk invisible tracks beneath the moon. Reading the ocean was as much art as science. Sometimes a bird's sudden swoop, or the sudden warmth of a tropical current, signalled that land was near. At other times, it was the scent of floating vegetation or the distant rumble of surf that led the way. All of these, wrapped together, made each journey possible, proof that even the most uncertain waters could be read by those who listened well. Polynesian navigators trusted in what they learned from experience and inheritance. Each voyage deepened this bond. Every sensation gathered, be it a slight shift in swell, the song of the wind, or a distant splash in the night, was folded quietly into a vast mental atlas. Even in storms, their calm confidence remained, rooted in a belief that the ocean's secrets were never out of reach for those awake to feel them. This way of seeing and knowing transformed every voyage. Far from being lost in emptiness, the navigators travelled along an invisible network. The memory of swells, the mark of a current, the path of a seabird, all interwoven like threads between islands. Every moment on the water was a process of reading, understanding, and responding to this living, ever-shifting expanse beneath the canoe. To outsiders, these skills seemed mystical, even impossible. Yet, for the people who called the Pacific home, reading the ocean was as natural as breathing. Generations honed these abilities, trusting the wisdom passed down through centuries. In darkness and in muted dawn light, the navigators pressed onward, guided by the always-present language of the sea, certain that, as long as they listened, they would always find their way. Chapter 4. Bird Messengers. Far from any shoreline, Polynesian wayfinders turned to the open sky for signs of hope. As the days stretched endlessly across blue horizons, sharp eyes tracked the flight of seabirds aloft. These flocks were more than creatures in passing. They were trusted guides. Their movements across the sky told stories, hinting at distant islands and safe harbours yet unseen beneath the arc of the sun. The sight of birds was never taken for granted. Polynesian navigators learned to distinguish species and recognise subtle details, the direction a flock would fly at dawn, the pattern they traced as dusk fell. Certain seabirds never ventured far from land, while others flew great distances, returning faithfully at night. By interpreting these habits, navigators gleaned crucial clues, each fluttering wing a secret whisper from the world itself. Birds became living compasses for the Polynesians. A sudden appearance of noddies or terns, their wings white against an endless sky, could shift the direction of a voyage. When these birds flew homeward in the evenings, wayfinders would quietly align their canoes to follow. In these quiet moments, hope would rise. The hidden promise of land was close, their knowledge intertwined with every beating wing overhead. Morning light revealed new stories in the patterns of flight above. If a flock rose from the same patch of sea each dawn, navigators suspected a hidden island nearby, perhaps obscured by clouds or distance. In silence, they would watch, mapping each curve of the bird's flight, trusting natural rhythm over restless imagination. These observations anchored voyages, turning uncertainty into the beginnings of certainty. With every journey, Polynesian navigators refined their knowledge of bird behaviour. Stories passed down spoke of the fairy terner, pure white herald returning each day to shelter, hinting at fresh water and safety nearby. Over generations, these lessons formed a code, a living cartography. Each flock, each movement, each silent departure became a note in the Polynesian navigational symphony, a wisdom sung softly by feathers and wind. Even at great distances from shore, hope could ride on the back of a single bird. Wayfinders sometimes released domesticated birds, watching their flight for hints of direction. If the bird circled back, land was distant. If it disappeared with purpose toward the horizon, the navigators altered course, chasing a faith as old as the Pacific waters themselves. Trust in avian messengers was woven into the heart of exploration. For these skilled navigators, studying birds was a discipline rooted in patience and respect. They knew which species nested on remote islets, and which only appeared at certain times of year. Their memories stored patterns across seasons. This deep awareness, built on generations of careful observation, transformed the sea's uncertainty into a familiar territory mapped, not with ink, but with attentive eyes and the free sweep of wings above. Observing birds was also an act of humility, a reminder that nature itself was both guide and companion. To watch the sky carefully was to let go of some control, allowing the world to speak through subtle movements. In a canoe miles from land, the silence was filled with anticipation. Every flutter, every call, every shift of direction, an invitation to trust in something greater than oneself. Some legends spoke of great navigators who dreamed of birds before major voyages. These dreams served as omens, a sign that the journey ahead would find its way, no matter the trials. Between living memory and myth, the line blurred, but the message remained. When doubt clouded the senses, the answer could sometimes be found above. The sky itself was a living map, ever shifting, yet eternally reliable. In countless crossings, generations of Polynesians journeyed further than any before them, guided by wisdom that transcended charts and compasses. Their unique relationship with birds made the boundless Pacific a navigable realm. Bird messengers, both seen and dreamed, carried hope and direction across open waters. In every journey, the rhythm of wings reminded navigators that, in the grandest wilderness, even the faintest sign could lead you home. Chapter 5. The Canoe Builders. We step quietly onto the sacred forest floor, where the air is thick with the scent of sap and earth. Here, ancient trees stretch skyward, chosen generations ago for their strength and spirit. Among these trunks, skilled hands move with reverence, preparing to shape more than wood. In this chapter, we witness the deep artistry, rituals, and shared wisdom behind the legendary canoes of the Pacific. Within the grove, elders and apprentices gather under dappled light. Conversations flow in hushed tones, every word a lesson, and every gesture a memory passed down countless times. The master builder chants softly, honouring the spirit of the tree before the first cut is made. These canoes are not simply vessels. They are the culmination of communal knowledge and ancestral respect, binding families together for voyages across endless blue. As axes fashioned from stone and shell strike the tree's trunk, rhythmic sounds echo deep into the forest. Each member of the community has a role. Some gather fibers and resins, others shape the hull. The process is both physical and spiritual, with prayers whispered at every step. Through this, the canoe becomes a living link, connecting past makers to the present, and the present to future journeys. Tradition dictates that the double-hulled canoe must be one with the ocean, capable of gliding over waves and carrying hope across the horizon. Builders consult the stars and tides even in their craft, seeking balance and symmetry that mirror the lessons of the sea. Carefully, they curve the hulls and bind them with braided cord, their movements steeped in ancient patterns and silent gratitude for nature's gifts. Children sit nearby, eyes wide with wonder as stories wrap around them. They learn not just to carve and lash, but to listen, to the creak of wood, to whispers from the ancestors and to each other. The master builder teaches patience, showing how a well-timed pause is as valuable as a measured stroke, instilling in the next generation the balance between skill and reverence for the task. Night descends, and under a canopy of stars, songs fill the grove. Each melody weaves thanks to the tree, to the ancestors, and to the sea. These ceremonies are moments of unity and quiet anticipation, the community's hopes set to music and memory. Within this sacred space, everyone plays a part, reinforcing bonds that will endure as long as their canoe braves the ocean waves. Days pass as the canoes begin to take shape, graceful forms emerging from rough trunks. Builders test the wood's curve, running their hands along its grain, reading strength and secret stories in every line. Even small imperfections are honoured, a reminder that true mastery lies in harmony with nature, not in the pursuit of flawlessness. The spirit of humility guides each measure, each carefully tied cord. In the final hours, Fragrant fibers are expertly woven to join hulls together, symbolizing unity, family, and the journey ahead. The double-hulled canoe, now nearly finished, gleams in the dawn light. The community feels it, a quiet pride paired with humility before the ocean's vastness. These vessels, steeped in ritual and knowledge, will soon carry them across the world's largest expanse of water. Before launching, elders and children gather for blessing rites. Drops of coconut water trace protective patterns across each hull, merging tradition with hope for a safe voyage. Words of gratitude are offered to the forest and to the sea, acknowledging the delicate balance sustaining every journey. With each ritual, the canoe's purpose is solidified. It is not merely transport, but a sacred bridge between people, islands, and generations. The canoes, now complete, rest at the water's edge, bathed in the soft glow of morning. As the builders prepare their vessels for the open ocean, new stories and old wisdom mingle in the hearts of all present. Each double-hulled canoe will become a legend shaped by artistry, faith, and communal memory, forever echoing the hands and hopes of the sacred groves from which it was born. Chapter 6. Setting Sail. Night lingers softly as the voyagers gather, the shoreline washed in pale light. Each crew member carries a talisman or offering, pressed into their palms by loved ones with whispered blessings. The air hums with anticipation and an undercurrent of sorrow, the kind that comes when a familiar world slips away into the unknown. They stand together, holding both hope and uncertainty as the moment of departure arrives. A hush settles over the beach as hands are clasped in farewell. There are no grand speeches, only soft partings, a mother's hand resting on her child's shoulder, a friend's forearm gripped in silent encouragement. Tears are blinked back, replaced by determined smiles. Each farewell is a quiet promise, a wish that, across the great ocean, hearts will remain tethered to home. The sky softens to grey, and breath is held for what comes next. Gifts are exchanged with solemn grace-woven mats, shells, bundles of food for the journey. They are tokens of hope, stitched through with memories and family prayers. The crew accepts them with gratitude, touching each item to their heart. The meaning is not just practical but spiritual, reminders of where they come from and all they carry with them. The farewells become sacred rituals, each gesture echoing through time. As the canoe is readied, elders move among the voyagers, hands raised in quiet blessing. Their words ripple softly across the water's surface, invoking guidance from the ancestors and protection from the elements. A low chorus of voices joins in, singing an old melody meant to steady hearts and calm anxious spirits. The rhythm of oars rests for a moment, allowing this prayer to fill the dawn. Every soul now, the first paddles dip into the water, wooden blades slicing the dawn's reflection. The boat glides forward, pushed by arms both young and old. The sound of oars is steady and comforting, a heartbeat marking the start of distance. The shoreline begins to recede, faces blurring into shadows behind the mist. Still, every stroke speaks of resolve, a silent pact among the crew that they will face what awaits them together. The voyagers' gazes fix forward, but a few cannot help glancing back once more. Homes seem impossibly small from the water, lanterns flickering like distant stars. The ocean's vastness opens before them, a mystery tinged with equal measures of fear and possibility. For a moment, hearts are seized by uncertainty, but with a collective breath, the crew settles into the familiar rhythm of rowing, comforted by the presence of each other. Silence lingers, broken only by the dip of oars and the hushed lull of waves against wood. The journey's first. Minutes feel suspended, unreal and weightless. Each voyager searches the faces beside them, drawing strength from the shared resolve in their eyes. Above, birds begin to call, their flight a promise that land lies ahead somewhere. The dark horizon is both a warning and an invitation, asking who dares to cross it. Hours blend as the vessel slides into open water. The crew's muscles remember the rhythm, each paddle stroke writing a new beginning upon the sea. Voices murmur low, sharing prayers for courage, guidance, and calm winds. A quiet unity binds them, every voyager a thread woven into the fate of the canoe. Across the shimmering expanse, the unknown calls softly, inviting them to trust their senses and each other above all else. The sun lifts, staining the water gold. Breath grows easier as the new day unfolds, and the anxieties of departure begin to fade, replaced by determination and curiosity. Each voyager settles into their role, responsibilities clear and practiced. They speak little, letting the steady sound of paddles and the hush of morning fill their minds. Already the land behind them is becoming a memory, dwarfed by the glory and promise of open sea. At last, the voyagers embrace the journey for what it is, a leap of faith. Land and safety are behind, the way ahead uncertain. Still, hope rides with them, stitched into every farewell, every offering, every stroke against the tide. The Pacific stretches out, ancient and infinite, yet in each heart beats a quiet conviction. They are not lost, but guided by stars, spirit, and the invisible threads that bind them to home. Chapter 7. Into the Blue Wilderness. The canoes slice quietly through endless waves, their hulls parting ribbons of deep blue. Days pass with only the sky above and the sea below a world adrift in silence. In this moment, solitude settles over the crew, each heartbeat echoing the gentle hum of water against wood. Surrounded by emptiness, the voyagers must find hope in tiny omens and subtle shifts that promise direction. At dawn, faint golden light shimmers on the horizon, painting the ocean with a palette of soft blues and silvers. The navigators watch for patterns in the sky, reading clouds as notes in a silent symphony. The scent of salt and distant rain fills their senses, drawing out memories of home. Every breath they take reminds them they are alone, yet something unseen guides them forward through the blue wilderness. The stars at night become their counsel, distant fires scattered across a velvet dome. Each navigator searches for familiar constellations, connecting dots that point to invisible islands beyond the reach of sight. The ocean's moods shift, with the heavens sometimes gentle, sometimes restless always, whispering secrets through waves. Surrounded by darkness, the crew listens closely, trusting that faith and knowledge will light their way. Chill winds sweep over the canoes as the sun sinks low, ushering in twilight. The horizon blurs where water meets sky, dissolving any sense of direction but forward. Navigators focus on the feel of the currents beneath them, mapping subtle motions learned from ancestors. Uncertainty lingers, but hope flickers like a hidden ember. Every paddle stroke is powered by determination, carrying the voyagers deeper into uncharted blue. Sometimes, a single seabird arcs overhead a fragile signal in an empty sky. The navigators watch its flight, searching for meaning in every dip and turn. Is it a sign of land, or merely a companion adrift on the wind? Such fleeting encounters are cherished, fueling quiet conversations between the steersman and the sea. In this vastness, even the smallest clue becomes a beacon, guiding hearts and hopes onward. Nights stretch long aboard the canoes, softly lit by moonlight rippling across endless water. The crew gathers close, murmuring stories and ancient chants to pass the hours. Each voice weaves a thread of courage that holds them together. They trace star paths in the sky, fingers pointing and eyes shining, feeling the presence of ancestors who once navigated these same waters without question or fear. Morning arrives with a hush, the world bathed in pale light. The voyagers peer into the distance, scanning for shadows or the scent of fresh greenery. Hope stubbornly persists, refusing to fade with the monotony of days. Every morning brings another challenge, maintaining direction, spirit and faith amidst isolation. The crew remind each other that islands often reveal themselves just when doubt seems strongest. Currents pulse beneath the canoes, shaping subtle patterns the navigators have spent a lifetime learning. Ripples, swirl, and waves carry stories whispered by their elders. These signs, invisible to outsiders, offer guidance and reassurance. The seafarers listen, hands trailing in the cool ocean, discovering meaning in each change of rhythm. Beneath the uncertainty, an unspoken confidence grows with every nautical mile conquered. Another day blends with the next as clouds shift and sunrises blur into sunsets. Hunger for discovery drives the crew, each member watchful for the first glimpse of distant land, however faint. Time stretches and distills into longing, awe, and patience. Through it all, the canoes hold steady, propelled by trust in traditional knowledge and a quiet belief that the ocean will yield its secrets to those who persist. As the stars return, hope glimmers anew for every voyager. Navigators gather on deck, eyes tracing familiar routes overhead. They whisper quiet gratitude for safe passage through another stretch of the unknown. In this blue wilderness, solitude becomes kinship, silence breeds wonder, and the centuries-old bond between human spirit and the ocean deepens with every journey forward. The voyage presses on, guided by faith and skill. Chapter 8. Storms and Shadows. The Pacific waits for no one, its moods shifting without warning. Tonight, clouds gather with a silent threat, blotting out the familiar constellations that have guided generations. A low rumble vibrates through the canoe as distant thunder announces what is coming. The crew prepares in near silence, each movement practiced, their faces calm but their eyes always searching the horizon for signs of change. Lightning forks across the sky, briefly illuminating the endless ocean. The air thickens with tension as raindrops begin to fall, first soft, then lashing with a wild urgency. Towering waves rise, heaving the canoe up and dropping it into churning valleys of water. The old navigator closes his eyes, whispering memories of storms past, feeling the rhythm of the swells through his fingertips, measuring their strength and direction by touch alone. Blinding rain coats the crew, swallowing their breath and transforming shouts into muffled echoes. No stars or moon shine through the swirling darkness, leaving only instinct and memory to guide their way. Every sense sharpens the salt burn in the eyes, the slick wood underfoot, the roar in the ears. Each heartbeat thrums with both danger and the deep connection linking these navigators to countless ancestors before them. Silence grows beneath the roar, felt in the unspoken bond between the crew members. Each remembered story of survival, told during quieter nights, feels suddenly alive. How a grandfather once read the storms temper in the breath of the wind, or how an aunt survived a cyclone by listening to seabirds. These tales are more than memories, they're lifelines woven into every action taken amidst the fury of the sea. A towering wave crashes over the side, drenching skin and soaking gear, testing the canoe's balance. Hands grip tighter, muscles strain and ache, but there is no panic. The helmsman leans into the force, aligning the canoe with the pounding swell. Each crew member draws upon generations of training, trusting instincts honed by hardships that have shaped every Pacific crossing before, and all those yet to come. The navigator listens not just to the wind's howl, but to the tiny shifts in the sea's song. Even with vision lost to darkness, his mind reconstructs the map, the rhythm in the waves, the scent in the air, the roll and pitch of the hull. Through this, he detects subtle currents and ancient paths hidden beneath the tempests, chaos, letting ancestral knowledge shine through where starlight cannot. Minutes stretch into lifetimes as the storm grows in strength. The ocean becomes a swirling world of shadows, where shapes vanish in grey sheets of rain. Every decision feels both monumental and instinctive. When to shift weight, how to brace for impact, or when simply to breathe deeply and trust. The crew's courage is measured as much by quiet resolve as outward action, refusing fear permission to take root. Slowly, the storm begins to fade, its anger spent. Waves decrease, the rain softens to a misty curtain, and the sea's pulse returns to a slower, more forgiving rhythm. The crew straightens, exhaustion mixing with relief. They move through the motions of checking their gear, sharing nods of reassurance. Scars are counted not in wounds, but in the calm that settles, proof of experience and enduring spirit. In the storm's quiet wake, memories surface. The navigator speaks softly, recounting storms survived, friends lost and found, and the lessons the ocean has offered with each merciless test. These stories ripple out across the open water, weaving the past and the present. Each journey, each storm endured, is more than a hardship, it's a thread in the ancient fabric binding the generations who dare cross the Pacific. Night returns, gentle and cool. The first stars reappear, bright and reassuring, and the canoe glides forward once more. Humbled and renewed, the crew resumes their silent work, quietly grateful for the storm's end and for the wisdom forged in shadow and spray. In the vastness of the Pacific, survival is both science and spirit, drawn from traditions that shape every step in this lonely, beautiful journey. Chapter 9. Signs of Land. The long silence of the open ocean is broken by a subtle change, almost easy to miss. Calm washes over the voyagers, a gentle steadiness replacing nights of uncertainty. Sea and sky appear unchanging, yet those with patient eyes begin to notice stray blades of floating seaweed drifting past, a rare sight far from shore. Each clue stirs hope in quiet waves, not spoken, just quietly felt. A small log, worn by salt and time, appears alongside the canoe. The navigators lean in, sharing silent glances. Logs such as this can only drift from distant land. The sea has carried it for days, maybe weeks, but its arrival now feels like a silent message. The crew's routine softens as they realize something is changing. They keep their hopes small, weighing each sign with thoughtful patience. Morning light reveals the sky dressed in new, shifting shades. The horizon, once a uniform blue, now holds faint streaks of green and gold, reflecting something hidden beyond sight. The navigators have seen these colours before on the edge of new worlds. With every subtle shift in hue, their hearts rise a little further. The ocean breeze carries the scent of growing things, delicate but unmistakable. A bird circles, swooping low over the waves before vanishing into the distance. Its flight is calm and purposeful, different from the restless seabirds seen far offshore. The navigators share a quiet, understanding land. Birds never venture far without a destination. Watching the bird's path, they search for patterns, recalling lessons passed down from their ancestors beneath countless night skies. The voyagers' anticipation mounts, but no one voices certainty. They remember elders' warnings. Sometimes the ocean plays tricks, sending dreams of islands that slip away at dawn. Still, every new sign is carefully recorded, the drift of a feather, the rhythm of distant swell. Hope grows, gentle and steady, mingling with caution. The silent knowledge between crewmates forms an invisible thread binding them together. An older navigator traces their course in the air, speaking moments of encouragement in a hushed tone. He reminds the crew that every sign, every hint must be measured, never rushed. Patience is a navigator's truest companion. The youngest among them listens closely, eager to spot the next clue. The ocean's face, unreadable yet familiar, seems to whisper that answers may be close. The colour of the water deepens and shifts, hints of green swirling through the blue. To some, this change might seem trivial, but the crew has learned to read every gesture of the sea. These swirling colours and ripples may signal reefs or shallow sandbanks beneath the wave-harbingers of approaching land. They scan the horizon, breaths held, waiting for the next quiet revelation. Night falls, but the navigators cannot sleep. They lean on the rhythmic pulse of the ocean and the soft creak of wood. Thoughts drift between vigilance and dreams, their minds replaying every sign glimpsed that day. A sense of presence lingers, as if the ancestors themselves are quietly guiding the canoe. Each voyager listens to their heart, bracing for what dawn may bring. In the morning, a murmur passes through the crew's scent in the air is different. Here, it smells faintly of earth and flowers, impossible to mistake for the pure salt of open sea. Each breath feels richer, carrying the memory of growing things. The navigators treasure this change, for it signals that land is truly near. They prepare their minds, balancing hope and respect for nature's secrets. As the day brightens, the navigators gather at the prow of the canoe, eyes straining for the first true glimpse of land. Hints linger everywhere: a curl of cloud, a sudden flock of distant birds, the subtle hush in the wind. Every clue becomes sacred in these final moments of waiting. With hearts both calm and eager, the voyagers ready themselves for discovery, trusting the signs and their ancient wisdom. Chapter 10. First Landfall. The horizon shimmered with promise as navigators stood at the bows of their canoes, eyes wide with awe. After weeks upon the boundless ocean, the mist-laden outline of new land emerged, rising like a dream from swirling morning fog. Every heartbeat pulsed with wonder and relief. Centuries of tradition and the star's wisdom had led them here, to the very edge of the unknown, where hope finally touched the shore. Giddy anticipation swept through everyone as the scent of unfamiliar blossoms drifted in on gentle winds. The island's coast revealed hints of dense forests and secret coves as the navigators drew closer. For a quiet moment, silence fell upon the cruise. Only sounds, the soft lapping of water and distant calls of seabirds, welcoming them. Here, ancient courage and patient guidance blended, promising discovery beyond imagination on this misty, sacred land. As their canoes softly grazed the shore, oars were stilled. Feet touched new earth, and suddenly, myths of distant islands became living truth. Every breath filled with the fragrance of wild leaves, unfamiliar flowers, and salt. Across the sand, footprints marked this historic memento crossing from legend into reality. The navigators knelt, tracing the soil, silently thanking the heavens and the ocean for carrying them to this bright, mysterious world. Birdsong filled the air, clear and strange, mingling with the quiet excitement of the crew members. Palms waved gently above, casting patterned shadows across mossy stones and tangled roots. Explorers moved cautiously, senses heightened, every sense alert to the secrets and surprises of this fresh land. They wondered who else may have stood here before them, if any had ever witnessed these shifting mists and golden rays before this historic dawn. With the glow of sunrise scattering across dew-laced leaves, the island revealed itself in layers, soft ridges, hidden streams, and trees swirling in morning vapours. For the navigators, each new sound a rustle from the undergrowth, a distant animal call felt like the beginning of 1,000 new stories. Their journey, carved by memory and starlight, now opened onto many winding paths, each holding possibility, each promising adventure yet untold. The memory of long nights at sea faded as gentle earth cradled tired feet. Every face reflected disbelief had they truly crossed endless blue and arrived at this place. Gratitude grew in their hearts, silent prayers offered to ancestors and stars that guided them safely. Some stooped to lift handfuls of cool soil, feeling the weight of their achievement. Here, past and future met in the hush of first landfall, stitched together by wonder, courage and resilience. Stories would grow from this dawn, carried back to distant islands on future voyages. The navigators memorized every detail, the fragrance of the breezes, shapes of strange leaves, melodies in the air. They mapped the coastline in their minds, marking out safe havens, fresh water, and places to gather food. Each step laid the foundation for generations, turning once mythic destinations into real homes and familiar ground for those who would inevitably follow. Time seemed to slow in the golden haze. The world felt new again, and every stone glistened with promise. Navigators gathered, hands tracing patterns in the sand, sharing silent glances that needed no words. There was comfort in knowing they had accomplished what once seemed impossible. As the morning warmed, they began preparing for the hard work ahead, aware that the next chapter of their journey depended on open eyes and hearts ready for all that awaited them. Night's memories lingered, the starlit navigation now a quiet echo on this welcoming shore. The canoes weathered, but proud became monuments to courage and skill. The explorers whispered to one another, hearts swollen with gratitude and curiosity. Beyond the trees, mysteries awaited, but for this moment they simply breathed in the land's gifts, letting awe settle into their bones as sunlight stretched across the hidden edges of their new world. With landfall achieved, the horizon beckoned in new ways. The promise of knowledge and bravery fulfilled, yet adventure continued. New lands meant new stories, new challenges, and new relationships with both nature and memory. In gentle voices, the navigators began to sing old songs, their gentle melody rising with the sun. The island, too, seemed to listen, ready to share its secrets with those bold enough to step ashore and dream even further. Chapter 11. Settling the islands. The ocean voyagers, after weeks at sea, finally found land to call their own. The islands greeted them with sweeping green hills, new sounds, and unfamiliar scents. As their sturdy vessels touched the shore, anticipation filled the air. Every step into the soft sand marked a new beginning, a chance to root themselves in foreign beauty, blending courage with wonder for what lay ahead. Setting foot on solid ground, the voyagers gathered beneath the shade of tall palms. They looked around, hands shading their eyes, taking in the landscape. Some moved toward clear streams to taste the fresh water, others scouted for safe places to build their first shelters. The islands were alive with birdsong and wind, both new companions on this land. With gentle awe, the journey of settling had truly begun. Building their new homes required creativity and resourcefulness. From broad green leaves they wove thatched roofs, while driftwood became sturdy frames. Children and elders worked side by side, laughter mixing with the rhythm of construction. Every completed shelter felt like a promising newfound safety under unfamiliar skies. The voyagers' hands shaped each structure, transforming the foreign world into a place that slowly began to feel like home. Food was essential for their survival. The settlers learned to read the land, finding edible roots and fruits hidden among the foliage. With patience, they planted seeds brought from distant islands, hoping tender shoots would take hold in the rich volcanic soil. Each sprout was a small miracle, a sign that life could flourish here. The bond with nature deepened as reliance and respect grew with every harvest. Adapting to new rhythms, the voyagers connected with the cadence of the islands. By day they fished in unfamiliar waters, learning where fish gathered and tides ebbed. By night, they listened to new bird calls and watched unfamiliar stars brighten the sky above their shelters. With each passing sunrise, the settlers forged routines, finding comfort in shared meals, laughter, and the gentle whisper of the ocean nearby. Sharing knowledge became vital. Elders taught the young how to spot edible plants, build protective fires, and respect sacred places. Stories from their old islands mingled with new experiences, weaving community ties stronger than ever before. Memories of long journeys slowly melted into the background as innovation and tradition blended, binding everyone together in a tapestry both old and new. Nature shaped the settlers' every choice. Rainfall fed streams vital for drinking and crops, so they built channels and collected fresh water with care. In the cool shade of ancient trees, new tools were fashioned and food prepared. The songs of native creatures became familiar music, and every interaction with this lush world was guided by curiosity, gratitude, and gentle hands transforming wilderness into sanctuary. With time, the islands gave back in unexpected ways. Fruit trees flourished, new crops grew strong, and the sea offered reliable harvests. Children played in tide pools and meadows, discovering their surroundings with boundless wonder. Through hardship and patience, the settlers nurtured a sense of beginning, a feeling that the island was no longer just a stop on their voyage, but the heart of a new story. Seasons passed, and the settlers' bonds with the land deepened. They sang songs of arrival, planting roots in both earth and memory. Ceremonies marked milestones, first harvests, finished homes, new friendships. In moments of reflection by the water's edge, voyagers found peace in belonging. What was once foreign now bloomed with meaning, each day layered with gratitude for the island's gift of shelter, sustenance, and hope. As the sun set behind volcanic peaks, evening fires glowed softly in each village. The air hummed with quiet joy as island life settled into comforting patterns. The ocean's distant song now joined in harmony with laughter and lullabies. The settlers, once wanderers, felt the certainty of home, the assurance that in nurturing the land and each other, they had claimed their own place in the vastness of the Pacific. Chapter 12. The Invisible Maps. In the quiet hush before dawn, the ocean's surface shimmers with secrets kept by generations past. This chapter reflects on the legacy of Pacific navigation, a tradition not charted on paper, but held in the mind and heart. These are the invisible maps, passed from master to apprentice. Each wave and star, each pattern of wind, stories written across the seas, told without words, stories written across the seas, told with... What do we inherit from these ancient voyagers? The invisible maps linger paths remembered in song, in practice, in the rhythm of paddles on water. Their wayfinding is more than technique, it's connection. The Pacific's islands are strung together not just by coral reefs or chains of sand, but by memory and intention. These voyagers carved trails across ocean spaces, shaping cultures, kinships, and destinies. Within these invisible maps lies a deeper lesson. Knowledge can live, breathe, and evolve outside written words. Polynesian navigation techniques endured not through books, but by lived experience and careful observation. The sky and sea became both guide and record, offering clues for those patient enough to listen. Even as modern maps replace the stars, the wisdom of these journeys remains, echoing in the hearts of new generations. Imagine a navigator setting out in darkness, reading the glowing arc of the Milky Way, calculating direction from the swell's subtle roll. The journey relied on trust in themselves, in their teachers, in the enduring memory of the ocean. This tradition, mysterious and profound, continues to inspire today. It's a legacy reminding us there are countless ways to understand our world, if only we pay close attention. The enduring songs, the ceremonial chants, the whispered advice of elders all form part of these invisible maps. Islanders still pass on lessons through rituals, naming winds, observing birds, feeling the temperature of the sea at dusk. Each moment is a thread within a larger tapestry, connecting a navigator in a canoe to ancestors who once charted the same route, guided only by the whispers of nature. As we close this chapter, let's remember the Pacific navigators not only for their daring, but for their presence of mind and reverence for tradition. These invisible maps are a testament to human adaptability and imagination. Even as technology advances, some still choose to voyage by star and wave, keeping old pathways alive. In every journey undertaken this way, echoes of ancient voyages are felt anew. Why do these traditions matter now? Because the invisible maps nurture a sense of belonging to the ocean and to each other. They remind us of the importance of truly listening to those who came before. Memory, when kept alive, strengthens identity. To navigate as the ancestors did is to pay tribute to the past and to ensure the future remains rooted in respect and wonder. Many islands once considered distant and isolated were, in truth, woven together by these navigational paths. Each crossing bound cultures and people, making the Pacific a place of endless exchange. The true legacy is not only found in ancient canoes or preserved artifacts, but in living traditions and the perseverance of memory. The invisible maps are part of what binds the Pacific together, even as time passes. Across thousands of miles, invisible threads run, still holding together families, guiding celebrations, shaping a vast heritage. Whether whispered in lullabies or marked by silent gazes at the stars, the navigator's gift endures. As long as the Pacific is crossed by those willing to read wave and sky, their memory remains vibrant. These roots and recollections are part of a living map, one that never fades. So, as our journey through the story of Pacific navigation concludes, picture the great ocean at night still mysterious, still alive with echoes. The invisible maps, written in memory and tradition, continue to guide and connect. Through every island and every story, the spirit of the ancient navigators lingers, a silent invitation to wonder, to discover, and to remember the paths carved beneath the stars.